Now nonchalantness, or rather lack of this. You call a spade, well I would call a spade a kiss. But in the meantime, try to question that. And if the source of worship was I get a verbal back. Until I get through that we are rich with
Peace. Peace, family. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Everything's cool.
Good, good. How'd your day go today?
Man, just Saturday. It's Saturday again. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same old, man.
Right. We're gonna let some people join before we get into it. I appreciate you spending time with me this evening.
Yeah.
Special shout out to Mo Crazy for putting this together.
Yeah, Mo's family, for real. That's my dude.
That's my guy. A lot of these wouldn't be going down if it wasn't for Mo. So I appreciate everything he's doing.
Right. Feel that. Mo's a good dude. We've been around for a lot of years.
No doubt. We got a lot of history to get into to cram in within this small session Instagram gives us. Before we get into all that history, could you tell the viewers how you've been spending this quarantine time? What's been keeping Dres busy during these times?
Really, man, just kind of trying to do a lot of self-improvement for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Definitely been little workout here to there to little reading here to definitely writing. I'm working on a project right now, a Dilla project actually, which is, I'm sure we'll speak on it. So I've been actually trying to finish that up, doing a lot of writing on that side, just so when I get a chance to get back in the studio, I can kind of just knock out. I'm probably about 3/4 done with it, and so essentially just trying to finish that up. And really, you know what? One of the things I've really been doing is I've been jumping into a lot of people's rooms, the IG lives, and really just learning about a lot of different people that that I follow. You know what I'm saying? From everything from different artists to comedians to I done got beauty and health tips. You know what I'm saying? I just, whatever,
a one-stop shop.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to fill the time, doing things that might keep my mind kind of active. It's definitely been a lot of sleep. You know what I'm saying? My sleep is just, man, I'm probably averaging about 14 hours a day, damn near, man. It's like I take naps all through the day. It's like, man, like, you just get so bored, But it is what it is.
What have you learned about yourself, if anything, during this time?
Man, that's a good question. I think if anything that I kind of just feel like I'm a little more patient than I realized I am. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times, especially as an artist, it's just a lot of hustle, a lot of it's a lot of get up and go. But that's another thing that I've been doing. I've been plotting. You know what I'm saying? As far as what I'm like I've been reaching out to different cats on different aspects. Taking a lot of meetings over phones, and like speaking to different people in different positions that might be able to help me put different things together once this is over. Right. So that's been really cool.
You in New York right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are things loosening up out that way?
Just beginning to. Hold on one second.
Okay. No problem.
To close this door.
Okay.
Hey, Sid. Close your door for Dad, all right? All right, thanks. He's on. He got a cousin who has a birthday today, so they Skype it and they straight up chopping it up like just like we are. It's all good.
No doubt. But what was you saying? Things loosening up out that way?
Yeah, finally. You know what I'm saying? Like but I gotta give big props to Cuomo. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely been fact driven, as opposed to Trump. This dude is like literally the worst person when it comes to just having common sense and just logistics. But it also shows that how he's willing to barter people's well-being for the sake of him being reelected. You know what I'm saying? The little things that he thinks matter to the people, just really doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And he's definitely willing to, kind of trade the well-being of everybody, you know what I'm saying, to push the economy and all that. Ain't nobody going to buy anything, even when even when everything is open, unless, like you're just a right-wing activist, you know what I'm saying? And you don't
right.
You're not wearing a mask anyway. But New York has been really diligent. Big kudos to New York. Like, like New York has really been diligent about the preparedness of moving forward. You know what I'm saying? You be on the streets, you know, if you do step out, everyone's wearing a mask. And, you know, for the most part, especially in New York, the streets are really empty and you really don't see it like that, like ever. You know, like cats are really being mindful of what we're dealing with. But for a while, it was really scary here, you know, like to see over 700 people dying a day for over a week was, you know, like we didn't realize that was the peak when it was the peak, you know what I'm saying? Right. So we didn't know if it was going to continue to go up or exactly what was going on. So it was literally a little scary, I think, for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like no one literally wanted to leave their house at all.
Absolutely.
But so, you know, like we kind of finally got it down to the point where, you know, just maybe a little over 100 people are dying a day, which is still insane. Crazy. But you know, but a far cry from 700 a day, you know?
Right. For everybody who's just logging on, this is Quarantine Sessions, episode 28. I'm with the Black Sheep himself, Dres.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
It's all up.
We're going to get into a little history lesson before we work our way up to your Dilla project that's coming out soon. Can you tell everybody where you were born and raised?
I was born in Queens, New York, Queens General Hospital. And I lived in New York until I was probably about 13 or so, and which time my stepfather married my mom's, and we moved to North Carolina, and I was there till I was about the week I finished high school. I left my mom's crib, and I've been on my own since.
What was a day in the life like Dres growing up?
Oh man, now that was. That was interesting. I was a real projects kid, you know what I'm saying? Like my father was like a pretty major heroin dealer. And my mom's was pregnant at 17. So we did a lot of growing together. And my father was really he came from a big family of which he was the eldest. And so he kind of he definitely was a dictator of sort, you know what I'm saying? He kind of definitely was able to kind of lay down things how he saw fit. And, you know, he could be a little bit over the top at times, you know what I'm saying? And once it got to the point where they separated, I would spend the weekends with him. And, you know, during the week I was with my mom. So I would be in Astoria projects in Queens during the week. And then every weekend I would go to Flushing to the Bland projects where my father stayed and my grandmother. And, you know, so I would literally be shuffling between projects. But I grew up really fast, you know what I'm saying? Like I was really young, running with much older cats, you know what I'm saying? And doing things that a young kid, I can't even imagine my sons going through the things that I went through at an early age, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember being 11 years old and snatching my first pocketbook and things of that nature. And at 11, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't even fathom, you know, a child of mine, you know, even on the streets to that degree, let alone doing things of that nature. And, you know, like, I remember I was probably about maybe 10 years old. I had way too much freedom, you know, but this is a different time when your folks would send you out of the house for the day, you know what I'm saying? And,
right.
You know, but I remember being about 9 or 10 years old, and I had a friend named Tyrone. He was a little older than me, and we were in Queens in the Astoria projects, and he had to go pick up his brother. He maybe about 14, 15. He had to go pick up his brother in Brooklyn. He's like, you know, you want to come with me? And without even asking my mom, like I'm literally like 9 or 10 years old, I'm like, yeah, bet. You know what I'm saying? And we hop on a train and go to Brooklyn. And, you know, by the time we got back, it was dark. You know, like when I saw my mom, she was out of her mind, you know what I'm saying? Like worried, like what 9, 10-year-old is literally going, you know, hopping on a train with his friend that's a few years older without telling his mom anything, you know, but that was literally how fast I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a lot of freedom to do a lot of things. I was a very rambunctious. I was very fearless, but at the same time, I had a very genuine heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was very naive to a lot of things. Like I was a project kid that, you know, like that you might see when passing, you know, like as an adult, you'd see this kid that would be walking with a stray dog with a rope tied around his neck. You know what I'm saying? Like that was me. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like that dog I found, he became my dog. You know what I'm saying? I put a rope around his neck and I'm walking my dog.
Right.
Like, you know, like I was just that kind of, I was that kind of kid. So, you know, so as I got older, and I think once we kind of went to Carolina, it introduced me um, to academics. You know what I'm saying? I was very street savvy at a very young age, but it was Carolina that kind of really made it cool to be intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, whereas I was much more in tune with what was going on the underbelly. Um, when I got to Carolina, all of the kids, I was very fortunate that I went to a black high school, all black high school. And the majority of the kids there were very studious, you know what I'm saying? Like they were very much into their studies and what have you. And don't get it twisted, you know, like it was still, you know, us. We're going to be us wherever we at. But, you know, these kids had the ability to cut all of that short and do what they needed to do. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, it was like they had someone to answer to. They had parents to answer to. And so, you know, not that I didn't, but like I said, I just grew up with a lot more freedom to kind of to move to navigate on my own, you know what I'm saying, to figure out things on my own. But once I saw like it was cool to be smart, I wanted to be cool, you know what I'm saying? So eventually I found myself in college prep courses and, you know, like really pushing the envelope as far as just my academics, and was able to excel academically as well, you know what I'm saying? So all of that was definitely a really good thing in me becoming well-rounded, you know, definitely.
What were some of your musical influences during this time, and what was some of your first hip hop experiences that made Dres go, "Hey, I want to be a part of this"?
I well, I definitely, one of the things I can remember while I was still in the story, I probably was probably about 10 or 11 years old when Songs in the Key of Life came out. And I remember sitting in the living room floor and studying this album. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like it came with a booklet that had all of the words to all of the songs. So I remember, you know what I'm saying, sitting and literally learning the words to every single song on Songs in the Key of Life. Even there's a song that was in Swahili and Spanish. Memorized all of it. As well, I spoke Spanish fluently when I was young. I lost it as I got older, but I'm half Puerto Rican, and I used to, like, you know, go to my grandparents' house, and they barely spoke English. So I spoke Spanish fluently as a kid, but I kind of lost it when we moved to Carolina. But believe it or not, and I don't even know if there's such a thing today, but in my kindergarten, I was the valedictorian, you know what I'm saying? And I said a speech in English and Spanish, and you know what I'm saying? Like I was always bright, but like I said, I was always fearless. So I was always doing a lot of things. I was always down to get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Um, I played chess in kindergarten. I remember, you know, being taught to play chess, and so I've been playing like chess all my life. I was always very advanced for my age, you know. But music wise, a big record for me was Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. It really introduced me to the power of words. I thought that it was just this really powerful, powerful record, and the words that he used in it, you know what I'm saying, like they really resonated with me and they spoke to me. And, you know, like he spoke of a world that I wished I lived in. You know what I'm saying? Like the pictures that he painted with his album would just really just touch me. And it was just, I just never forgot the impact of that record. And I remember literally sitting on the living room floor. That was back when you had the linoleum and the couch was covered with plastic, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, like that was a huge record for me because, like I said, because it really showed me how powerful words could be. And then, you know, as I got older and I had a cousin, my cousin F, I would come back to New York every summer from Carolina. So the first summer, the first or second summer I come home, he had turntables. And like I was blown away, and he's telling me about block parties. And I'm like, word, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like word. And he's, you know, he's playing records for me, this, that, and the other. And at the time, you know, like probably King Tim the Third and what have you was just coming out, and you know what I'm saying. But he had a bunch of stuff on the underbelly, and he's telling me about cats like Mikey D and the Grand Wizard Theodore, and you know all of these cats that were kind of in Queens and what have you, the Disco Twins from Astoria, and you know he's telling me about all of these cats, and it was almost like they were almost like mythological figures. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd hear about them, but you had to be there to see. There was no no video. There was no, there was nothing that we have today that would introduce you to them. So the only thing you really had to go on was these stories, So I remember, that my cousin had turntables. This is the first time that I'm touching vinyl, and he's showing me how to cut and this, that, and the other. And so I took that back to Carolina with me, and that was as hip hop started making its rounds. So as I started hearing songs down south, I would be like, yo, I heard that. I already heard that in New York, this, that, and the other, because the South was always a little bit behind, what I'm saying? So we get things a little bit late. And then like maybe the next summer I came up, what I'm saying? And my cousin was nice at DJing, what I'm saying? And he's put me on to like AJ Scratch and some of the records he had, Houdini, Five Fingers of Funk and stuff like that, what I'm saying? Like the records that were really, really early, I probably missed, like in hip hop is bug, even in life, it'll feel like a lot of time is going by, but a lot of time hasn't gone by. Right. Like in one summer, what I'm saying? Like you'll see the evolution of something literally in one summer, what I'm saying? And then 1 year, forget about it. The next year I came back, like, well, matter of fact, that year I think was, so that had to be like 82, maybe, like, 83, that I'm hearing like sucker MCs. So the music that I initially was even hearing was changing, it was evolving. Because I remember the summer the sucker MCs came out, it was like almost like, oh my God, like it was like, whereas you was hearing, the Funky 4+1 More or what have you, and it was much more schematic and routine, what I'm saying? Then you'd hear something like, like a Houdini or or especially Run DMC, my God, like when they came out, like they were shattering the routine aspect of it, what I'm saying? Where you're hearing like, like Grandmaster Flash for Furious 5, where, it was kind of a rehearsed routine. You knew it was something that was rehearsed. And then, it became something that was a little bit more street, which spoke to me even more, what I'm saying? Right. And then there was certain artists as time was evolving, like I went back down south, and I'm in Fayetteville initially. And my stepmom and my father, my stepfather, my mom, they separated. And so I wound up moving to a small town called Sanford. That's where I did my senior year of high school. So I meet this cat named Stan, and Stan was from Brooklyn. I go to Stan's crib. He had turntables. He had mics. He had equipment set up, tapes. And I'm like, yo, like, what I'm saying? He became like my man. We became instant friends. And that had a little bit of prior touching some vinyl and this and the other, what I'm saying? I was able to jump on his turntables immediately and just start, like kind of, get my little rubs in, what have you. And we became quick friends to the point that literally every day of my senior year, I was at his house, what I'm saying? My cousin F, who had the turntables in New York, moved down to Carolina, started living with me and my mom's, my sister. And he spent, a year or so down there. And so literally we spent all our time over Stan's house. And so that's where I met Long. what I'm saying? Long was like his little man, but we were closer in age and much more street to him. Long was like a little brother to us. But Long was a dope DJ. Like dope. Like especially for him to be our junior. He, like just nimble, mad quick fingers and what have you, and was just mad nice. And so we became like a little crew, what I'm saying? And that was like our little brother. And like, and they were always down to rock whatever mic they could get their hands on, what I'm saying? There was this club called Diamond D's. And there might, be just a mic standing there, like the DJ, might be shouting on this and that. They'd always try to grab the mic and rhyme. I'd only rhyme in my man's crib. No one else knew I could rhyme, what I'm saying? Right. But I probably was the nicest MC. But I just wasn't, I just wasn't really pursuing it to the degree that I wanted.